with Dr. Dan Karas, and you know, with the summer, we're always thirsty.
Always thirsty.
And sometimes we do want juice, but it doesn't quench our thirst. But a juice like this will.
Absolutely, and you're just talking about inflammation, and this is one of the best ways to reduce inflammation. So what you do is you go to some place like the farmer's market, you pick up a bunch of different things, and you just start throwing it in a juicer. This is just a mid-range juicer. You just turn it on there, if you can still hear me, and you just start throwing all your things in there, and it'll start making juice. And it only takes a very short amount of time once you have it prepped. And throw in some ginger there, we threw in the carrots, and then what you do is you just break it up and just throw in the celery. The carrots and the apple are going to make a lot of juice in there, and so will the cucumber. So you can see we're not doing much, and it's making a whole bunch of juice in there, and you can just keep throwing stuff in there. And it's one of the healthiest natural juices that you have, and it only takes a few minutes, and then it puts all the rest of the fiber in here. Now, juice is going to be all the liquid without the fiber, but it's maximizing the amount of nutrients that you're getting in. When you do make it, you want to drink it pretty soon. If you don't drink it pretty soon, you want to cover it off and not let a whole lot of oxygen get to it. But I mean, we made just a half of a mason jar right there of juice, so it only takes, I mean, how long has that been? 30 seconds, and we have half a mason jar of juice, and it's actually very, very tasty.
And you didn't do too much prepping, did you? Did you wash them off or cut them off?
I washed them off when I was at home, then I just came in here and I chopped it up. The hardest part is cleaning out the juicer, and you have a juicer as well, and that probably takes 5 to 7 minutes to do that. And I actually take this and I'll throw it right into my compost bin when I'm done, and then I put it on my garden. You know,
I'm not going to lie. That's when I say I want to make a juice, sometimes I'll think about how I don't want to clean it.
And that's the hardest part. So you have to get a juicer that's the most user-friendly. But if you're thinking about juicing, just go out and buy one that's $50 to $70 just to start, because you can spend $300 to $400, but that gets you rolling in the right direction.
That's awesome. I love juicing. And then you have kale here too.
Kale, yeah, we'll throw that in there in the next one.
We'll talk about that. All right. Doing your health news right now. It's Dr. Dan. We are juicing this morning. I love my juicer at home, so I hope.
You've had it for 2 or 3 years, and you've been using it a couple times a week?
Yeah, now I use it a couple times a week.
And juicing is, I found out juicing is one of the best ways to start to utilize most of your vegetables. We put a garden in a couple years ago, and then the season came on, and all of a sudden we had tons of tomatoes and cucumbers and that sort of stuff, and so we just started throwing them in there. I started with the tomatoes and making like a tomato juice and that sort of stuff. You can do a ton of different things. We made this one earlier. It's mostly the carrots and the celery and some apples. I'm going to throw in just a little bit of kale in here. Kale is a superfood. You know, it's loaded up with tons of different nutrients. It does grow here in Michigan.
And you can see that there is juice coming out of there.
There's actually juice.
You wouldn't think so because it's so dense.
It's really dense, and then we'll throw in a couple tomatoes because you said you've never juiced tomatoes. So we'll put that in there, and we're going to let that come through. But when you make your juice, it's fresh, and it's not being processed. It's not sitting on the shelf for a long time. And that's the problem with a lot of juices is that they contain a ton of sugar. But this one is completely fresh. We'll swirl it around a little bit there.
Yeah, you got to mix that up.
Mix it up for you. I know you said you normally drink it with ice. This one doesn't have ice on it, but we'll let you.
I do.
Most people think that juices look really gross, but until they actually try them and they get some of the sweetness of the apples or the carrots in there. And really, when you're making a juice, if you have celery, if you have carrots, if you have apples as the base, they have a lot of sweetness. Now, there's ginger in there, and a lot of people, aren't used to eating ginger in their foods or in their drinks, so it adds a little bit of spice in there.
I like the ginger.
And so some people like ginger, and ginger's anti-inflammatory. We've talked about that many times. The nice thing about this is that the juicing does extract the fiber. So there's blending that keeps the fiber in, which I blend a lot. I do that almost all the time. And then there's juicing. But when you're done with juicing, I know this is my compost bin, so this is what I throw out by my garden. But what I'm going to do is I just take the rest of this out here, and then you just throw it right into your compost bin. A lot of people keep this by there. And so you just take all the fiber right there and all the extracts from the vegetables, and then you throw it in your compost bin, and then you put that on your garden. That's putting nutrients back into the soil, which those plants then absorb, so it makes your plants more nutritious.
Because right now I just dump it.
Yeah, might as well utilize it. Put it in your garden if you have a garden.
I need a garden.
Yeah, you need a garden.
I need a garden.
We need to talk
Can I put it on my flower bin?
We need to talk about sure.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put on my flowers?
Anything that's going to grow to the ground, it's going to absorb nutrients out of there. So. Yeah, load up on vegetables, get over to the Frankenmuth Farmers Market, get over to your local farmers market and start juicing. It's a great way to increase your energy. A lot of people waste a lot of money on those.
And it's good too, because if you don't want to drink, don't want to drink a lot of water, you want that flavored beverage.
Yeah, you can add a lot of flavor.
This really satisfies that craving for me, because I used to be a big apple juice freak.
Yeah.
And now I love to juice my apples. And it tastes like apple cider.
Exactly, and it's fresh.
I love it, and it's fresh. I love it. Jason, you need to start juicing.